Hello, welcome back to another video. My name is Gemma and today I'm doing the big book tag. So the lovely Jess over at Stalking Kafka tagged me to do this quite some time ago and I'm only now getting to it. I will link her video below. The original was by One Book, One Review. I will also link that video below. But this is just more of a chatty one really, where I talk about the biggest books that are on my TBR and the biggest books that I've read. So couple of housekeeping things before we start. Firstly, big books are awesome. We love big books in this house. Well, actually I think I'm the only one in this house, but still. Also, I don't keep books, so I can't show you the 5 biggest books that I've read from my bookshelf because they go off to other homes. I want them to live their full lives. So as soon as I read books, I pass them on to other people. The other thing is quite a lot of the really long ones are on my Kindle, and I just thought that would be less fun to put up images than it would to show you the physical books that that are lurking on my shelf. So I do have stuff like A Suitable Boy, The Crimson Petal and the White, and Karenina, all on my Kindle. There are others, can't really think of them off the top of my head. So they're on there. There's obviously quite a few big ones there. But we'll just talk about the ones I've got. So I'm going to start with the ones I've read. So the 5 longest books I've read according to Goodreads, because it's easily searchable on there. So I'm going to work backwards from my shortest long book to my longest long book. It's getting quite late. It's 9:10. That's not late, is it? For normal people, that's quite late for me. So anyway, the shortest long book that I read is The Arabian Nights by Anonymous, which was 1049 pages. It's short stories, so yeah, I think I just picked off a few at a time for years and I read that on my Kindle. The next one is It by Stephen King. God, do I wish that I DNF'd that book. 1116 pages of just awfulness. I really, really don't get on with Stephen King's writing style, but I did read that at a time when I didn't really DNF. Now it would have definitely been put in the bin. Number 3, A Storm of Swords by George R.R. Martin at 1177 pages. And I have to say, I haven't read past that point in the series. Yes, I have watched the series, but I kind of feel like there's no point in continuing reading the books, given that he probably won't ever finish the series. If the next book ever does actually get to the point of release, then I will probably go back and reread all of them and read the ones I haven't read. But until that time, we're just stopping there. Number 4 is a recent read from last year, The Count of Monte Cristo by Alexandre Dumas, at 1276 pages. And that was a good one. I did struggle in the middle, sort of between the 800 and 1,000 page mark. I was struggling to keep going. I felt like I've been reading that book for a very long time. But I did read it. And then the longest book I've ever read is The Fiery Cross by Diana Gabaldon, which is the 5th book in the Outlander series, and comes in at 1443 pages, which is kind of a ridiculous number of pages for one book. You kind of ask yourself why she didn't just split that into 2 books. When I listened to that on audio, I think it was 55 hours, 60 hours, something like that long. Luckily, Davina Porter, who narrates it, is one of my favourite narrators. So I could just listen to her all day long. But that was a long book. So those are my longest ones. And then I've picked off the 5 longest books that are on my shelf to read. I've gone a bit this wasn't quite the brief for this tag. I've just gone a bit rogue. And I don't think these are actually in the right order, but we're just gonna go random order. But these I think are the 5 longest ones. So we've got The Blinding Knife by Brent. This is the 2nd book in the Lightbringer series. Is it Lightbringer? Yes. I really, really loved the first one of these, Black Prism, when I read it a few years ago. I've been meaning to get to this ever since, but obviously because it's such a chunky boy, I just haven't got to it. And it is 755 pages. So there's that one. Then, I mean, there was bound to be a few fantasies on here, wasn't there? The One of Ascension by Brandon Sanderson. This is the second book in the Mistborn series. But this one is 757. So they're pretty similar in size, these two. And no, I haven't read the first one. Then we've got The Mirror and the Light by Hilary Mantel. This is the third book in her Thomas Cromwell series. I did read Wolf Hall, was it last year? And I've still got Bring Up the Bodies to read, which is the shortest of the three. This one is 875 pages. It's a doorstop. It's a full-on doorstop. But we love Mantel, so that's fine. Then, one that I literally just hauled the other day, The Eighth Life by Nino Haratischvili, translated by Charlotte Collins and Ruth Martin. And this one is about a family of chocolatiers. It's like an epic saga, lots of trauma, lots of, just lots of and that's 934 pages. So almost a thousand pages in there. But I've heard nothing but good things, and Charlie at Charlie Book Reads just keeps wanging on at me to read it, so I bought it. But whether I'll read it anytime soon is anyone's guess. And then I think the longest book on my TBR is this one yet. So this chunky boy is 1,123 pages, and that's Shogun by James Cavell. And the lovely Jack at Spread Bookchoy gifted me this for Christmas or for my birthday. They both happen in December, so they get a bit muddled in my mind. But I think this is like family saga in Japan, samurai stuff. Don't know too much about it, and I don't really want to going in, but it definitely sounds like my jam. And me and Jack are going to buddy read this at the end of the year, so it will get read, and it will go on to one of the longest books I've ever read. So really looking forward to it. But yeah, it doesn't even look as big as it does really, doesn't it? Anyway, that is an aside. So yeah, those are the biggest books on my TBR and on my bookshelf. So I'm just going to tag a few people to see what big books they've got. So I am just going to tag Charlie at Charlie Book Reads, Jack at Spread Bookjoy, and Alice and the Giant Bookshelf. I'd love to see which big books you girls have got, because I do feel like I have a lot, and I need some validation that I'm not the only one that picks up these big books. Though I do always love them, and several of my best books of last year were 500 pages plus. If you want to see what those books were, I'll leave my best books of the year video here, and I will catch you all very soon with another one. Bye guys.